Hi all, so I'm going to do some on another tutorial, this time just going over some of the tweaks of putting in your walls, particularly taking into account the glazing and the mullions that are in this building. That means that there's a lot of glass and the mullions are the divisions, and that's where you can put your walls. So I want to kind of demonstrate that a little bit to make some sense. I've already set up, oh, hold on, let me go back to screen sharing here. There we go. There's the Revit, okay. All right, I've already created this file for you guys. It's the same one you all have. I've been putting in rooms like I explained in the flooring materials section that I have kind of like, rough sample setup of what yours might look like with some private offices, with some big wide open spaces, things like maybe kitchens or lunchrooms, conference rooms. So say for example, you want to add some more walls here. So you're going to go over to walls, architectural. In this case, I'm for the interior primarily using these 3 1/4 partition walls. They have a 1 hour rating. That's the how long of a fire code rating they have, how long they'll hold off basically flames and smoke. You might want to use some of these larger ones for places like these corridor walls, because again, that'll be part of your egress plan to get out to safety, to stairways and oops, hold on, and the elevators here. So it's something to keep in mind. You're going to learn a lot more of this about in codes. So for now, I'm using for my interior office is just this 3 1/8 partition wall. So what Anthony and I were talking about is, when you look at this building in 3D, this is the glass, this is the mullion, these are the dividers. Most of these panels at max are going to be 6 feet wide. That's kind of the default that Revit puts them in. I edited it up a bit so that the 6 feet is all centered, and then you have maybe like 4 on each side. So pay attention to that. One of the things when I put the walls in is I'll watch the location line of basically the handle of your wall. In this case, I'm going to keep the center line on, but you might, as you start to do other things, want to have the finish face exterior, interior. That will give you the pretty much the left or the right edge of that wall. In my case, I went the center, and I'll show you why. Because if I go into, say, this office, maybe I want to start an office about, say about here. If I do the wall starting here, see how if we start again, that little purple pink triangle there, it's the center of that mullion. So that would be the logical place that I can place a wall. I'm going to drag it over, and maybe I want to line it up with here, because this again will make another nice big like executive office. If I pull it all the way up like that, see how the walls kind of nicely merge together. In this case, if you look closely here, if I click on this, this is the handle of the wall. So this is a good sign. This means this guy has connected fully. There are obviously 2 different type of walls, so they're not gonna like meld together like say we saw up here. I do have a spot over here I just want to show you way down. Let's see, where was it? Over here. This guy I'm a little concerned about, because even though I drag him over, he's not quite connecting. He does have, it's from this finished face exterior, so maybe it is. I might get some sunshine and light bleeding through there. So if I were to take a rendering of this room, I might go back and double check that wall. I can change the to center line now. Let's see if that changes it a bit. Not really. See, I still got that gap. So yeah, I'd be a little concerned about what's going on with that wall there. All right, but I want to just show you and review some of the basics of putting in the floor, because that should be your next step after you've got your wall finish plan approved by Anthony and I. I'll just show you quick doors. You want to make sure they're 3 feet wide for any single one. If you need any other kinds of doors, you're going to go up here to load family, and then it'll bring up your catalog, your like library here, and then there's going to be doors. Go to the commercial, you're gonna have lots of options here. I did a couple of like double doors, things like that for my conference room. You can use residential just fine. Go back to residential, here they are. Here, there's gonna be double doors in here too that you can kind of play around with. You obviously can get them from Revit City too, if you wanna get some sort of higher end looking ones. Placing your doors, you're going to pay attention to the door swing. Again, you want to be able to swing the door this way and then have plenty of space here, and that you're not kind of walking into a wall, so to speak. You also need to pay attention to what Anthony went over with you about having enough space to lead up to this door. If you were in a wheelchair, you need 18 to 24 inches for code to get in there. All right, so once you have all your doors, One of the things too to think about with these big wide open spaces is think ahead of kind of what your design plan is color-wise. Like I may choose to have a different material kind of running around this corridor just to break it up a bit. And I might want to have this section different from this section. So I'm going to walk through a couple of examples here. So for most of us, we're going to be using sketching it. So I'm going to use my line tool here. And this you want to enclose also, because this is kind of this concrete corner. This wall here, see how I'm sort of outside? I might come back and edit that. I'm going to go to about here. So I'm inside the wall of this room. And then I'm going to go over to here. We're going to pay attention to what happens here when we kind of have to join up the other ones. You're going to go over to here. Let's see, that looks pretty good. Up to here. All right, now before I go anywhere, I hit escape, but I can kind of nudge these if I want to. So this one looks okay. I feel pretty confident that it's gonna form a seal at that part of the wall. This one I'm a little concerned it's a little outside there, so I'm gonna use my down arrows to nudge that a bit. And then over here, these guys look pretty good. So we're gonna say okay. Now I realized I had it on generic, which is pretty ugly. I've already created a bunch of my own carpets from those carpet tiles from Shaw that I liked. I've got a couple that, let's see, this flowers one, let's see what that guy, well, actually I think I like this one better. We're gonna see what that looks like. So right now it's in hidden view, so you don't see much of what the color looks like. If I go to realistic, there's the pattern there. So, you know, I'm gonna give the folks in the corner offices something a little bit nicer. This person over here, we'll kind of draw that one in quick just so you can see some of the things about the overlap. So we're going to floor, architectural. Again, I'm going to draw this from scratch because I like having more of the control. So watch if you see right there, see that there's that gap as I kind of hovered over it. I'm going to go back to hidden lines so you can see that a little better. All right, so I'm going to start up here again, go through there, cut into here, down through my middle wall, roughly the middle of this wall again too. And then up into here. And then before I go anywhere, I'm going to change that to something a little bit nicer. I forget what color I used in the other side. We'll do the stone one. And I'll say, okay. Turn the color on so you can see the difference there. Oh, gotta save it too. All right, so there's my two different carpets. Now, when I get into doing this big space here, we're gonna watch some of the gaps in here and we'll kind of clean that up as we need to. But now I wanna do this whole section. And actually, before I do that, let me pick which carpet I actually want. This Kuso one is kind of cool. And so I'm gonna kind of trace this whole space here, try to pick kind of an easy logical starting point. So I'm gonna go in this middle section here, down below. Again, I'm trying to stick to the middles. I'm gonna take it off realistic for a moment again so you can see a little better. Keep it over into here in the middle, to the middle of this glass wall. Then I'm way down here. Now this room underneath me now is probably gonna, I'll pretend that's like my kind of break room, kitchen area, and I'll probably put some tile in there. So if I come up here, now this I might come back and edit later depending on how I like how these two intersect. A lot of times in interior design you might use just a solid color as sort of break that up and kind of provide almost like what's called wayfinding, and sort of separation of the materials and the colors. All right, so far this is looking okay. All right, let's green arrow on that. All right, so they're saying must be closed in the loop. So somewhere, oh, I forgot a little corner over here. All right, so no, I do not want to undo that. I gotta, somehow we lost our line there. All right, so we're gonna draw him in. And there, let's see, that should be good. All right, now what it's saying is it's overlapping with here. I'm okay with that because I don't want there to be a blank space and I don't want light to shine through. So I'm like, that's fine. We'll ignore your error. This is one of the nice places where Revit does allow you to ignore its error messages. So that's looking pretty good. I'm going to check it in on 3D. So far it looks like everything's kind of filled in pretty well. So like light isn't gonna, so if you can see it where, if I go through the middle of this wall, it means the carpet's going underneath this mullion and again, effectively blocking out like sunshine bleeding through. So those look pretty good so far. All right, so I'm gonna stop this video and save it. And like I said, if you have specific, let me see, hold on. Sorry, my chair is very squeaky. If you have specific questions per your project and your materials, I can certainly help you go through that. For me now, I'm going to go back and kind of fill this all in. I'm also probably going to get my tiles from Dal Tile because they have DALTILE because they have pretty good you know, screenshot and images that we can use in our projects. You can also go to Armstrong Flooring. That's where you'll have your VCT tiles, and that's again good for kitchen and break rooms. I know we're trying to do like high end, so probably go for tile. That'd be a better look for you. But like I said, send me an email if you need help walking through specific things or setting up those multiple carpet types for when you put your flooring into. All right, see y'all later.